It's time to battle the corruption in Aloft. Hi friends, and welcome back to Aloft. Our favorite airborne survival game just got an update that changes the way you interact with the evil forces at work on some of the floating islands. This update comes with plenty of new gameplay, new opportunities, and unique ways to experience this floating world. If you enjoy the overview, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, it would be much appreciated. But without further ado, here's everything new in the Aloft Combat and Corruption update. Let's start with the most obvious change when you load up the game. Instead of the light gray mist that used to surround these corrupted islands, there's now a much darker presence, both physically and metaphorically. The fungi enemies have all received little texture updates as well, so the basic guards are now tan, and upgraded guards now have more distinct color highlights and look a bit more menacing. They also deal a ton more damage, but we'll cover that in just a bit. The base mechanics of clearing an island are still the same, where you cleanse the nodes to purify an island, but now there's the additional threat of fungus bombs. These red mushrooms may look like messed up toadstools, but they function very similarly to the fungus nodes from Grounded, where the puffs explode and deal damage to you as you approach them. As soon as one goes off, you can expect a chain reaction filled with deadly bombs of the shroom variety. This means that you're not just looking for the enemies that move, but also at the environment to avoid being sent back to your home island. When you do successfully clear an island, all hostile mushrooms will perish instantaneously instead of sticking around like they used to. You can still make them leap off of cliffs though. If you want a more direct conflict with the shrooms, you'll be pleased to learn that this update also comes with a combat overhaul. While you did have the potential to build up combo attacks in previous versions, the new combat system allows for a lot more personalization and nuance. Combos still exist, but are easier to build so long as you just attack when the indicator is in the yellow zone. Aside from your basic hold left click style of attacks and combinations that are unique to each weapon, there are now a few unique combat moves that you can use for both style points and for extra damage. These include the ground pound for all of you Super Mario fans, which is triggered by leaping off of a high surface or dropping out of your glider to land on some mushroom heads. Instead of pressing left click to build your combo, you could also hold your attack key and charge an attack to leap at an enemy, which deals more damage and allows you to cover some distance if you're less good at aiming. This can also be combined with an upslash, which launches you and your chosen foe into the sky by jumping after a lunge, which you can then hack and slash at them for a while before gravity inevitably reclaims you both, which can then be comboed with a ground pound. Beyond advanced attacks, there are also now options for counterplay, like blocking by holding right-click and even shoving with a well-timed block. A properly executed shove stuns the oncoming foe for a bit more time for retaliation. There are even a few movement options that were introduced, like a dodge, which is achieved by jumping while moving in a certain direction other than forward. A slide mechanic was also introduced, in which you crouch while sprinting, and you can use this to either launch yourself into the sky and take off in your glider, or to pull a WWE combo move on an unsuspecting fungus. Or if you would rather just keep your distance, a brand new bow was introduced along with two kinds of arrows. There's the stone arrow, which is steadfast but relatively slow to draw. If you're looking to go a bit more fast-paced, the bone arrow may be more your speed because it draws more quickly, but it is impacted by wind more. There are some aim dynamics to account for with the bow, so this does require a tiny bit of skill to land accurately. Fortunately, arrows are decently cheap, so you can make lots of them. And yes, you can shoot well in the sky, which does have a really cool time-slowing effect. As I briefly mentioned earlier, mushrooms deal a hefty amount of damage if you're not well prepared, so you may want to stock up on some of the brand new bandages before heading in. These come in 4 varieties: leaf, linen, cotton, and wool. Each variety of bandage will restore your entire natural health bar, but will do so faster or slower depending on the quality of material used, so linen bandages restore health rapidly, whereas leaf bandages are more of a trickle regeneration. Each bandage definitely has its use, and they can regenerate massive amounts of extra health, making you a tanky monk, taking on some dangerous corrupted islands. In addition to the alchemical upgrades you can apply to your tools and weapons that were introduced with the last update, there's also a brand new system of trinkets that can alter each weapon individually. Trinkets are crafted and unlocked like most recipes in the workbench, but have to be applied to a selected tool in the upgrade station portion of the research table, which means that these come into play relatively late in the game. Once available, each tool can receive just one of these 6 trinkets, so choose carefully. A decent number of these 6 trinkets also require advanced materials like obsidian, golden feathers, or water opals to craft, so be on the lookout for some new resources hidden in chests as you travel. The 6 trinkets each provide a unique advantage that can aid you in your journey. The golden feathers trinket charges your attacks to make them more powerful with a larger range. The obsidian shard can stagger enemies without you needing to shove. The research trinket makes coatings last longer, the sky spirit trinket allows you to perform an extra airborne strike in your upslash attack, the storm shell trinket lets you attack faster in high winds, and the water opal trinket increases your harvesting power for resources. These allow you to customize your loadout in a way that makes the most sense for your playstyle. So a person who's a big fan of the upslash may opt for the Sky Spirit trinket on their sword, whereas someone who just wants the fights to be over quickly may choose the Golden Feather trinket for the bonus damage. Combining these with some of the fungicides unlocked in the research station is a great way to increase your damage and harvest more resources. Eventually, trinkets are planned to be visible on the weapon itself, but for now you can see the little trinket icon below your tool and see your applied trinket under the tooltip when you hover over it in the menu. Beyond the big, fancy, and new fun stuff added by the Combat and Corruption update, there are also a number of changes to existing systems to help balance the game and make it more enjoyable, like changes to weapon speed and damage, and making sure animals can properly use the trough and not produce as much manure. One of my personal favorite additions is the ability to plant trees, which right now are available as twining oaks, great chestnuts, and sturdy firs, all of which now also have unique custom models. You can acquire tree seeds by removing saplings and cutting down trees on islands, and those seeds can then be planted on any island for your own custom tree. No longer do you have to plan your base around an existing tree or feel guilty for removing one entirely, as you can simply relocate a tree to your preference. Additionally, there are new stockpile options for both wool and rope, which can help the hoarding problem that these kind of survival crafting games inspire. As you've probably noticed, third person is now also in the game for those of you who prefer a different perspective, and it can be toggled under the gameplay portion of the options. Right below that is where you'll find the brand new keybind section to allow you to change your control scheme into something that works best for you, along with support for controllers. There are also some new accessibility options, like adding an auto-swing option and expanding localization for English and French. You may have also noticed that the game looks a little bit different now thanks to some new visual effects and volumetric clouds, which makes the world appear more vibrant and more colorful. This also included a little bit of graphic optimization that helps the game run more smoothly while being as beautiful as ever. While you explore, you'll also notice plenty of new environmental sounds like birds to bring this floating world to life, all with 15 new tracks and procedural music. And finally, there is the brand new island editing system for those of you who want to make custom islands appear in your own playthrough. This is a more streamlined version of the editor that instead functions around nested menus to spawn in specific island elements, which reminds me a lot of working in a music creation software. Its controls are highly intuitive, and the sky's not only the limit, your imagination is, so be sure to create the perfect home island for yourself and then upload it into your world to see how it plays. And that's everything new that came with the Combat and Corruption update, but there are still many things in the cards for Aloft. The next update is set to feature new gear varieties and some special decorations for your island. We'll cover those updates as they release, but if you want to stay in the loop, you should join the Aloft Discord and wishlist the game on Steam. Remember that the infinitely playable demo is free to download, so you can try out everything I've talked out here for yourself. Anyways, I think that's everything for me for now. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider leaving a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps me out. I hope to see you all again soon, but until then, have a great day.